Yeah. Basically, it still comes back to that same thing of the duality of the body. In my experience, I was able to deal with the emotionality that came and stuff like that, but now I've got this physical health problem. And even if I try not to engage in it, try not to have the thoughts, it still feels like there's suffering in the body. There's still pain in the body, and it's really hard not to get imprisoned by the duality of this body being the experience. It seems like the experience of that is almost stronger than the subtlety of sort of feeling into that freedom and that source.
Yeah.
And
what type of pain is it?
well, I have Lyme disease, so it's kind of a really strange thing that, you know, most of the time I'm fine, and then one moment you just go down, you're smashed with headaches and migraines and, you know, joint pains, feeling sick.
It's really interesting because there's research done that Lyme disease has a similar effect of awakening on the body. It's interesting, yeah. Do you know who told me this? There's a speaker called Brendan Smith, who also had Lyme disease as a teenager.
Right.
And his parents, I can't remember the story, actually. Yeah, because I'm going to go for it and then I'll be like making up half of it, because I don't know. I'm not positive. I have the feeling that it was something that from that then, it's his story to tell. But he's interesting to look up for that. Yeah. And so, when you feel the pain, it's not that the pain's the problem. It's not, just 1 second, I have terrible concentration. But,
Yeah, we'll have them while you're away.
So when you feel the pain, I promise you, pain isn't the problem. I mean, pain is going to be pain. I feel pain, I get headaches, or like the other day, you know, when you've been on the aeroplane, you feel like your head has been compressed, and your eyes are sore when you come out in the light, and trying to think about the most immense pain I felt recently. Yeah, so I'm not trying to dismiss your pain. Pain is pain, and it's painful. That's part of looking through a human form, which navigates through this world through the system of moving towards pleasure and avoiding pain. That's how the body should be. But your suffering comes from the one that identifies with that pain and sees it in a timeline. So say my beautiful dog, when she feels pain, she doesn't think or feel to herself, and these thoughts are often unconscious. I'm going to have this for 10 years, or I'm not sure if Lyme disease is for your whole life or 7 years. They're not sure.
Yeah.
They don't know.
Most of the time. If you treat it early, you can basically kill it with 2 weeks of antibiotics, but if it goes many years, and for me it was so many years before they found out what it was.
Yeah.
So with that it spreads, and then it's hard to get rid of. So it's really about managing it.
Yeah. And what will be subtly playing in you is you'll be putting it into the timeline. So and this will be unconscious. Your body will be energetically doing it. So when the pain comes, your mind will be seeing you in the future with it and seeing you in the past with it. Whereas Khaleesi, because she cannot think, she has some form of thinking, but she doesn't think in words, and she doesn't think this is her pain, and she doesn't think, I've got this pain for 20 years or 10 years, or I've got this for the rest of the life, and she doesn't have an image that's happening to her. So therefore, her essence isn't stuck in her body, and it's kind of life that's taking it. And life doesn't suffer because it doesn't own or hold anything. So when the pain is beginning, just check into your body and see if there is contraction happening in your body, and see if you can get it spontaneously speaking. So see if you can bring conscious it rejecting what's happening, the experience. And by doing that, it will begin to be released from your body, because it becomes a bodily thing where your body, the pain starts and your body contracts to it. And you're holding, it's kind of bizarre to say this, but you're holding thoughts in your body. It happens like you're not conscious of it, but there is a very quick rejection that's happening in the mind, and then you hold it in the body, and you just need to get it speaking so it begins to come conscious. And then when it comes conscious, that energy won't keep building and holding there. So I don't know if you've got pain now.
Not just minor
Minor
sort
pain.
of, yeah.
And it will come and go, it will change. There'll be some times where there's total acceptance of it and sometimes when there's resistance. But their job is just to let the resistance speak and feel it, feel it. Don't try to stay up here. Don't try to talk yourself out of it with non-duality, with emotional ideas or anything. Really, really allow yourself to feel that rejection, not the pain. You can go into the pain as well, but feel where the rejection is happening. Because it is the rejection which is the suffering, and it's so unconscious.
Yeah, that's true. It's interesting. I mean, yeah, what you're saying, I agree. I don't agree though with the animals. So I've worked a lot with animals and everything, the big cats and things like that, and they still have fear. There's still fear
I still have fear.
Of the body. And,
fear, but fear is a natural bodily sensation. Like the body should feel fear. So the body, we get to this idea of enlightenment that it takes out all feelings, but the body should feel fear. Because if you didn't feel the sensation of fear, if there was something that was going to endanger you, the body wouldn't move away. So the body's set up on the idea, or not the idea, it's programmed to move towards pleasure and avoid pain. And that the suffering happens when the identity identifies with that and tries to always stay in pleasure and avoid pain. This is my pleasure, I always want this. So waking up on my terms, it might be totally different from what Ramana or other speakers talk about, but what it is here is the collapse of that identity, and pain and pleasure can still happen, but for no one. And that's a totally different experience. And so fear can still come here, anger can still come here, but there's nobody holding on to it and claiming it to be mine. It's like eternity carries that. There isn't somebody that's experiencing that fear. But it's really necessary. So I sometimes in the way I speak about it, and I'm not trying to convince you, this is something for you to go away and explore and think about. Like I use animals in my exploration and in explaining it. So when I was exploring, and also after the awakening happening, trying to understand it better, because animals show their feelings. They don't have any urge to hide them. Sometimes they might try to hide them for some reason, but most of the time they don't. They just fully show their feelings. So if they don't like something and want it away from it, they just growl. If they're afraid, like my dog's heckles go up. Her hair stands on end. If she doesn't want to cuddle, she's not like, well, I'll give you a cuddle just because I feel sorry for you, or whatever it is. She just walks away. She's totally in her feelings. And so this looking at the animal and looking at the natural feelings that arise in it are really important to see that this instrument too has to have these natural feelings. This is what it's looking through. This is what life is looking through. Enlightenment is the movement back to that empty looking, but it's still going to be looking through a human form. So the body's still going to be feeling. When that awakening happens, there will be a massive change that happens in the body-mind mechanism, because the body-mind mechanism has been operating under the idea that you are a separate entity moving through time. So there is a massive emotional release happens, and still in my body, after that huge awakening and shifting back to that, still my body is processing the years that it was identified from. So there's still emotional change happening here and physical change happening here. And so there is a massive change in the conditioning, but that's not the point to awakening. The point to awakening is moving back to that freedom that experiences everything and is never born or died. So it's not about not feeling. But I have just thrown so much information at you. So you can go online on my YouTube channel after and you can watch back what I've said to you and use it to explore. Don't take my word. In a way, it is and isn't your journey.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I do totally understand what you're saying, and I know in my experience that when there is the freedom is when there's that willingness to just to allow it, not to engage in, because I sort of know what you mean also with that energy of the timeline. And Lyme disease is a scary one because it has a pretty fatalistic timeline. I'm going to have this for life, and you don't actually die from it, which is a freedom in itself. You kind of have to cling to this uncertain body, But but at the same time, yeah, I know there is this sort of energy that collects together, whether it's the thoughts or fears or whatever it is. And yeah, I can recognise that as a suffering when that's sort of felt into,
Yeah.
it can really release. And,
Yeah. And spontaneously speaking, I think, is a really good way, because we often on the surface level have a story about it, and when you spontaneously speak, you sometimes see what's below our story of what we feel.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Thanks for that.
Thanks.
Super.
Nice.